Welcome back to the deep dive. Look, if you're working in the cloud space, you already know keeping up with a Google Cloud Platform updates feels like, well, a full-time job sometimes, especially if you're a beginner or maybe intermediate user, just trying to sort through all the noise, find the updates that really matter for your day-to-day work, your productivity, your budget.
Yeah, that's the hard part. So that's what we're doing today. We've gone through the GCP news from the first half of October 2025. We're not just listing features, though. We're pulling out the high-impact stuff, focusing purely on practical insights you can actually use.
Exactly. We're cutting through the marketing buzz to focus only on Google Cloud Platform. The goal isn't just what the new service is, but really the strategic why. Like, why should you, as a developer or an architect maybe, actually care about this specific update right now? Right. We'll assume you know the basics, the core GCP components, but we'll definitely connect these new things back to stuff you already know just to keep it grounded.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with what feels like the biggest strategic push right now, making really sophisticated AI accessible for, well, everyone in the enterprise.
Yeah, and that really kicks off with Gemini Enterprise. Google's making a pretty bold statement here. They're saying AI shouldn't just live with the data science teams.
Exactly. They're framing Gemini Enterprise as this single front door
Yeah.
for AI, for the whole workplace, delivering Gemini's power mostly through, like, a simple chat interface.
Yeah.
Sounds easy, but the engineering behind that simplicity is pretty significant.
Well, that simple front door is built on 6 key things working together underneath. You've got the powerful Gemini models, of course, but also a no-code workbench, which makes it accessible. Then there are pre-built Google agents, centralized governance for IT, direct connections to your company's own data, and solutions coming in from partners, too. It's really an end-to-end framework designed to get AI into everyone's hands. Okay, and when we talk about these powerful models, we inevitably have to mention Vertex AI, which, just as a reminder, is Google Cloud's unified platform for building, deploying, and scaling machine learning models. And we saw some pretty big general availability or GA announcements for the generative media models running there, right?
We certainly did. Gemini 2.5 Flash Image went GA,
Okay.
which is great for advanced image creation and editing. But I think the speed and quality updates were maybe the most noticeable. Imagen 4, for example, it's specifically engineered for really fast, high-res text-to-image generation.
And then on the video side, VO3, you mentioned it introduced vertical format output.
Yeah, exactly.
That might sound small, but if you're generating content for social media, that vertical output is a huge time saver in production. Plus, the GA of Gemini 2.5 text-to-speech, it now supports multi-speaker dialogue and, like, really fine-grained style control. That's essential for professional-sounding stuff.
Right? And managing all the creative output from these powerful models, that needs serious governance.
Yeah.
And testing, which actually leads us nicely into a new tool for cloud practitioners trying to manage all the prompts involved.
Yes, prompts. If you've ever dealt with prompt sprawl, different teams using slightly different prompts, losing track of what works best, you'll probably like this next one. So, what is LLM-Evalkit, and why should you care?
Okay, so LLM-Evalkit is basically designed to be your central command center for everything prompt-related. It helps standardize how you create them, test them, version them, and really importantly, benchmark their performance. The immediate win for your team is pretty big, I think. It gives everyone the same playbook, ensures consistency, and it acts as a system of record, for tracking which prompt versions actually get you the best results over time.
Okay, this next bit is where, for me, it gets really interesting, particularly around security and deployment. As more companies start using these advanced external AI models, there's been this huge demand to deploy them inside their own secure lockdown environments.
Absolutely. And that demand is now being addressed through the Vertex AI Model Garden. You can now securely deploy proprietary models from partners like AI21 Labs, Mistral AI, CAMB.ai, you name it, directly into your own VPC. And your VPC, your virtual private cloud, that's your private isolated slice of Google Cloud where you run your resources. The really big deal here is that this works even for closed source models or ones with restricted commercial licenses, so your data security stays totally under your control.
Very cool. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to efficiency, specifically in data processing. Simplifying those complex pipelines seems to be the aim of a new tool called Dataproc ML.
Right. So if you're using Dataproc for your big data jobs, and remember, Dataproc is Google's managed service for Apache Spark, Hadoop, that sort of thing, then Dataproc ML is a new open source Python library. What it does is simplify the AI and ML inference part. It lets those Spark data pipelines you already have talk directly to Vertex AI models.
Okay, so what does that mean practically? Does it let you use Gemini for, like, classifying data at scale within those pipelines?
Exactly. Things like large-scale classification, summarization tasks, right within your existing batch processes. It supports batch inference using models you might have stored in cloud storage, and it works with common frameworks like PyTorch, TensorFlow. That direct connection between your managed data processing and your AI platform. It's incredibly slick. Really speeds up getting insights from your data.
Has sense. Speaking of data, there were updates to BigQuery too. That's Google Cloud's big serverless data warehouse. Seems like the focus there was on security and collaboration.
That's right. Specifically something called BigQuery Data Cleanroom Query Templates.
Okay, break that down for us. What do these templates actually do?
Well, the core idea is that people managing sensitive data sets, the cleanroom owners, can set up these fixed, pre-approved, reusable queries. Then, collaborators can run only those specific queries against the sensitive data tables. It's powerful because you can get valuable insights without anyone ever seeing the raw underlying data itself.
Ah, I see. So the key benefits for you, the user, are pretty clear then. Better prevention of data leakage, definitely. Easier onboarding for maybe less technical folks who just need an answer, not the raw data, and it ensures everyone's getting consistent results from the analysis, right?
Precisely. And staying on the developer side for a moment, database management also got an efficiency boost. There are new Gemini CLI extensions for Google Data Cloud. This basically makes working with your databases easier, right from the command line, the interactive terminal.
Oh, I like the example they gave for this. Implementing a fuzzy search in PostgreSQL. If you've ever done that, you know it can be a pain figuring out the right extensions, the indexing.
That could be fiddly.
But now they're saying the Gemini CLI can handle that in minutes. It figures out the extension you need, recommends performance tweaks like GAST or GIN indexes, and just spits out the SQL code. That turns, what, maybe a 30-minute research and coding session into basically a 1-minute command? That's pretty neat.
It is. And that kind of efficiency gain is a great segue into pure cost savings because, every bit of compute efficiency saves money. Now, the sources mentioned like 11 methods, but we pulled out 3 strategic things that intermediate users should probably focus on.
Okay, what are they? First one's probably obvious.
Yeah, always try to adopt the latest generation VMs, better performance per dollar usually.
Right, makes sense. What's number 2?
This one's maybe a bit more nuanced, leveraging custom machine types or CMTs. These are now available on the N4 VMs, and they let you precisely tune the CPU to memory ratio for your workload. This can save serious cash because you stop paying for generic VM shapes where you might be wasting CPU or RAM you don't actually need.
Dialing in that ratio. Got it. And the third?
It's the classic advice, but it's still crucial. Maximize your use of committed use discounts, CUDs. If you can accurately plan your long-term usage, CUDs offer significant savings. It's maybe not exciting, but it's a fundamental cloud finance management.
Totally agree. Okay, moving towards security and governance. There were a couple of pretty significant security shifts impacting data protection.
Yes, 2 big ones. First, Google Drive for Desktop now has a new AI-powered defense layer built in. This is specifically aimed at Google Workspace customers. It's designed to spot and actually stop ransomware trying to corrupt files before it spreads through your system.
Okay, that's important. And the second shift, it's a procedural change starting in November 2025. Something about how data is erased. Why is this a big deal?
Right. So Google's moving away from the old method of brute force disk erase for media sanitization. Instead, they're adopting a modern cryptographic erasure strategy. It's a big deal because, well, it's faster and more secure. Instead of physically wiping the entire disk, which takes time, they securely delete the cryptographic keys. Once those keys are gone, the underlying data is just unreadable garbage, completely unrecoverable. And importantly, this aligns with strict industry standards like those from NIST. So faster, more reliable, secure data disposal.
Good to know. And for folks wanting to skill up in security, there's a new Mandiant Academy course.
Yep, basic static and dynamic analysis. Covers fundamental malware analysis skills. Things like exploring the portable executable file format, monitoring how malware behaves when it runs, checking its network traffic, core forensics stuff.
And just briefly, Google also got recognized by Gartner.
That's right, a leader in the 2025 Gartner Magic Quadrant for API management, so validation for their work in that space.
Okay, now shifting from securing data to making systems more robust, let's touch on chaos engineering. The idea of intentionally breaking things in a controlled way to test resilience.
Yeah, chaos engineering. The key thing for you, the listener, isn't just knowing the term. It's about the practical application. The sources detail the 5 core principles, like starting with a hypothesis about your system's steady state, and then outline 6 practical steps for actually running an experiment. And they strongly recommend using the open source Chaos Toolkit. The good news is, it already have a bunch of GCP-specific recipes you can use to start testing your own architecture's resilience pretty much right away.
Nice. So you can actually do this without reinventing the wheel. Excellent. Okay, finally, let's look ahead. How is Google helping people get ready for this really AI-driven future? Seems like a lot is happening around skills platforms and specific initiatives.
Yeah, definitely a focus on upskilling. They announced the upcoming Google Skills platform that's slated for early next year. And this sounds pretty comprehensive, nearly 3,000 courses and labs, pulling content from Google Cloud, Google DeepMind, other parts of Google, all into one place.
Wow, okay. And tied directly to that enterprise AI push we started with, there's something called the GEAR initiative.
Right. GEAR stands for Gemini Enterprise Agent Ready. The goal is pretty straightforward. Help developers and other professionals learn how to build and deploy proper enterprise-grade AI agents using Google's tech stack.
Makes sense. And for the security pros listening, there's a dedicated new learning path too.
Yes, a new network security learning path. And just to give you a sense of what it covers, it involves key tools like Google Cloud NGFW, that's their next generation firewall. Also Cloud Armor, which is for DDoS protection and web application firewall, or GALEF. Then Cloud VPN and Interconnect for secure connectivity. And GKE, Google Kubernetes Engine, their managed Kubernetes service.
Okay, so it's teaching some serious skills then. Designing secure VPC and GKE network layouts, controlling traffic with that NGFW, setting up secure connections, defending web apps with Cloud Armor, and applying detailed IAM permissions, even across hybrid setups. Sounds pretty thorough.
It does. And one last thing for startups specifically, there's a startup technical guide for AI agents. It lays out basically 3 ways for them to get started with AI agents quickly. Path 1, build your own custom agents, maybe using the open source agent development kit. Path 2, use managed Google Cloud agents like Gemini Code Assist. Or Path 3, integrate agents built by partners, which you can find in the cloud marketplace.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What's the big picture here? If you look at all these updates together, what's the theme? To me, it feels like this really focused push, combining the absolute top-end AI models, Imagen 4, VO3, with tools that are incredibly practical, governable, secure, and cost-effective for the everyday cloud user.
I think that's spot on. Every single update we talked about, whether it's LLM-Evalkit making prompt management easier or the new cryptographic erasure making data disposal faster and safer, it all seems geared towards making deployment on Google Cloud faster, safer, and ultimately cheaper. It's about taking that cutting-edge AI and making it genuinely usable, governable, and valuable for businesses.
Absolutely. So thinking about the speed gains we discussed, like the Gemini CLI turning that database task into a 1-minute job, and this big GEAR initiative for training people to build agents, here's something for you to think about on your own. How quickly do you really think production-ready custom AI agents will stop being optional and become like a standard mandatory tool for basically every enterprise developer, maybe in the next 12 months? Faster, just something to chew on as you plan your next projects. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the latest from Google Cloud Platform. We'll catch you next time.